This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
So here are the four pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past several reports, I've been mentioning this resistance line as well as this longer term support line. I did mention during yesterday's report the potential for, and this would be only for aggressive traders, to trade off this long wick to the upside here with an entry short at 90.80 with a stop located near the 91 figure. And that trade did play out. Prices did get up to about 90.94, and again, if you entered at 90.80 and now you'd be about 40 pips in profit right now, and I would just go ahead and take this trade off the table, exit the position right now, and again wait for these longer term levels to materialize, because again that was for aggressive shorter term traders. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and the pair has sold off significantly off this doji candle up here, which I mentioned a few reports back. For the past several reports I've been mentioning this trade idea. So if you're in this trade from 28.05 with a stop at 28.55, I would continue to stay in the trade. With that being said, prices have during this early in this session, it's still very early, left behind a long wick to the downside. So I would maybe take half the position off the table right now, take profits for half. Let's say if you have two standard lots or two micro lots or two mini lots, take one of those lots off the table and continue to hold the rest. For those of you who did not enter on that trade, if you look at this longer term support line, we might get a little bit of resistance on the opposite side of that if prices do rally up towards that 127 figure, but I can update that with tomorrow's report as well. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and not much has changed here. Again, if you're going to trade anything, it would be the Euro Pound. This is obviously just the inverse of the Euro Pound, and I'm still just using this simple support line here, waiting for prices to come down and test that line. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and once again, I am on the sidelines on this pair. I did mention for the past several reports that 51.30 area, and prices did get about to 51.26 during this candle right here, then sold off back down to the figure, and I was calling for it to take profits about the 50.75 area, right in the middle of this range, but right now prices are actually rubbing up against towards that area near the 51.30 area, and right now at 51.20. I like this trade. Again, I'm on the sidelines on this pair, but I do like the trade. Maybe entry 51.25 short, which is just 5 pips away right now, with a stop at about 51.50. Keep the risk very tight, and again, look to take profits in the middle of this range, but be prepared, as anything can and will happen. Be prepared for prices to blow right through that 51.30 area, within a few seconds. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and as I've been calling for the last several reports, although I could not find a favorable risk reward entry, looking for prices to come down to that 61 figure and actually just beneath that 61 figure, and that has occurred now. Prices are just above 61, about 61.08 as I speak right now. I've been mentioning a possible entry at 60.80 with a 60.90 with a stop at 60.40. Again, that's long at 60.90 with a stop at 60.40, again because I'm looking for this inverted head and shoulder pattern to at least provide temporary support here on the shoulder line. And again, this trade can certainly set up within the next 15 minutes, but certainly within the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there, you'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.